I wish I had a Coke. I saw the science experiment once where they put this tooth in Coke, and over a period of a couple weeks or days, or maybe it was just one day, completely fell apart. Just disappeared. I suppose that could happen with a full set of teeth if we were to sit around with a mouth of Coca-Cola night and day. I wonder how that would work.
Okay, good. How's this feeling so far?
It feels different, yeah. I feel like I try to make the silences as short as possible, so I have to get used to like being okay with taking a moment to check in and waiting. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we get further with this, and what we'll do at one point, if it's supposed to be a 1-minute monologue, we'll find out what the 1-minute length is with all of this stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the stuff that we're trying to get in there is what keeps the monologue essentially from feeling like a recitation of the lines,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite often what monologues look like.
This actually started to come in on that last little chunk you were working on, is
The cerebral activity, which is, it's more than thinking. It's images. It's all the junk that's going on in your head all the time.
Yeah.
Okay? Especially with monologue, letting that cerebral junk be there.
and believe me, a high percentage of it's probably not going to be contextual to the
No.
monologue. You know,
All the other junk in my
why is
head.
there a picture of Mighty Mouse in there? I don't know. You don't care. All you
Yeah.
care about is just letting it be there and letting it do what it does.
So it's not like logical linear thinking. Okay, it's that kind of random stuff that just goes on in your head all the time. And a lot of the time actors they discount that cerebral activity because they think, well, nobody can know what it is, so how can it be a part of the performance? Okay, we don't have to know what it is. You need to let it be there. You need to let the cerebral do whatever it's going to do, because then that triggers my cerebral activity out here as the viewer. Okay, and then I start to think, and I get engrossed in you thinking, so it really kind of, we stimulate each other, essentially.
So now that we have those spaces in there, we've got the nonverbal. One of the things that's going on in there is this like cerebral activity. And let that go on, realize it may be contextual to what you're saying or the situation, but a lot of it may not be.
So let's do this. I just want to do a little bit of a setup so you can get used to it. You're going to start over here where you've been starting.
You're going to come up, get settled in, okay? In fact, before you actually step off from your mark off camera, what you want to do is first
Sense me, okay? And I want you to mentally invite me to look at you. Okay? Don't worry about whether I actually am or not. Just look at me.
Then you want to let that cerebral activity just be there. Just give yourself a chance to hang out with it there, out there, when you feel like, okay, it's happening. And you want to let that continue to happen as you come up to the mark, settle in physically, get your visual mark.
In this case, you're not even going to go to the first line. You're just going to let the cerebral activity just keep doing whatever it's doing. So your eye may move away from the visual mark, move back to the visual mark, let that happen however it happens. But essentially now we're turning the monologue into pure thinking without even referencing. So the show is you thinking. That's what it basically is.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Good, I want to run it again. Let's add one thing to it. As far as you're concerned, all of your cerebral activity is completely shared with me.
In other words, I'm having the same cerebral activity. Okay?
Okay.
If there's any head talk going on in there, as far as you're concerned, that head talk is going to me. Okay? Not back to you. It's going to me. Okay, so it's all kind of shared. How does this last little thing feel?
It was interesting because like my normal cerebral talk was also like telling myself to cerebral talk to my, do you know what I'm saying? Like, my cerebral talk became conscious cerebral talk, because
Right.
normally I don't think about it. Now I'm
Exactly.
thinking about it.
Right.
So
And
it's like,
once again, just go with whatever shows up.
Right.
That's the approach. That's the approach I wanted you to take.
So you don't have to really
Just think
order
about thinking.
your cerebral activity at all. All you really need to do is let it happen and let it do what it does.
The content really doesn't make any difference. The fact that it's happening, that you're allowing it to happen, is really what's important.
Let's see if we can get it just this idea of everything that's going on with me is totally shared with, my audience. So I don't have to explain anything.
So same basic setup. Let's take it again. And remember, the cerebral activity just screams on 24 hours a day. So it's always going someplace. And just let it go wherever it goes. It'll sustain itself. It's not like you have to worry about what am I going to be thinking.
right.
You can just,
The
whatever
bridge
shows
to the
up.
next thought, to the
Yeah,
next,
yeah,
because
right.
it'll just go.
Because you kind of feel
Yeah.
you'll be going, you'll be let the cerebral activity go, and it'll kind of go, but what's going to go on next?
It's like, well, I don't know, let it happen. just let it be,
Yeah.
continue to roll like that.